Third issue, within our Latino community in DC, what are we seeing in terms of communities at risk? Some of you might have heard me talk before. You know, in DC overall, our HIV epidemic is not a young person's epidemic. You know, most people are getting diagnosed in their 30s and 40s. Over 7% of our 40 to 50-year-olds in DC are currently diagnosed and living with HIV. And so I usually say, you know, so for our young people, that means we need to train them to not just stay negative until they're 20, but till they're 30 and 40 and 50 and 60. But here's the news. For our Latino population, we don't have that much time. When you look at the ages that our young Latino men are getting diagnosed, it's way younger. It's a couple of decades younger than our white men. And this is primarily young gay men and transgendered persons who are getting disproportionately affected, infected, and fortunately, you know, diagnosed. But the reality is, if an average age of diagnosis in our numbers for white men, white gay men, is in their 40s, and in African American gay men, it's in their late 20s and early 30s, we're seeing a very high proportion of our new diagnoses in Latino gay men in the under 25 age group. So this is dramatically, I think, another call to action. Our most vulnerable population, we cannot afford to not give them more time to get smart, to learn, to find out how to access services that are going to protect them and their futures and their families. Fourth, immigration. I'm not going to get too much into the details of immigration because we could talk for a long time, right? But even baby steps, you know, we're pretty close to some baby steps, and I hope maybe I've been asleep and missed them, but I don't think so. Which is just, in real world, on my day-to-day life, the HIV entry ban is still a problem. And so our final steps to take the actions to not only fully lift the HIV immigration ban, the entry ban, but also to communicate that that ban has been lifted, will, I think, be a very important tool, not just for the day-to-day people we're currently serving, but also in building that connection, because we know a lot of our recent immigrant community is going back and forth and has family who might need services in other places in this world as well. And that HIV entry ban is a silencer for communicating both what someone needs when they leave the country for a moment. Maybe they need medical care and they're afraid to seek it because they're afraid they're not going to get back in, and vice versa. So baby steps, most of the roadmap is laid there. If we can really get that HIV entry ban lifted, that will change how we deal with HIV in DC, in our ability to not only serve our residents, but to help to promote the people connected to our residents in getting the information, the advocacy, and the services that they need. And I think fifth, and this builds a little bit on some of the stats that Julie and Jeff both mentioned, ADAP, AIDS Drug Assistance Program, a really critical and important part of the RNLAAD program, which, you know, really provides a safety net, a pair of last resort for antiretroviral and other drugs for people living with HIV who don't have other insurance or Medicaid or other places to go to pay for these critical medications. As Jeff mentioned, you know, a third of our Latino population having no health insurance. So this is a very common, you know, enrollee we have for our ADAP program. As Julie mentioned, increasing financial pressures at local and state level. Well, I'm going to add to that a little bit. We are not only, of course, seeing a scale up in the need for treatment overall as we increase testing, as we actually go from this idea that treatment should be accessible to that treatment should be used. You know, we want people not just to be able to find it there somewhere, but we actually want to promote this idea that taking care of your health and accessing drugs and treatment that works is good. We want you to be healthy. But as we're successful on that side, overall, we see our numbers growing dramatically of people who require not only treatment, but assistance in accessing or paying for that treatment. Second, with the economic situation as it is, we're seeing more people enter the public system and the ADAP system who've never been in it before, who perhaps have had insurance at some point, they've been started on ARBs, but now they've lost their jobs, they've lost their supports, and they're coming to us. Well, you know, our need is way outpacing our resources for ADAP. In many places across the country and other states, They've, for a long time, supplemented the federal ADAP dollars with local ADAP dollars, and as Julie mentioned, those dollars are getting cut because there's these big, huge line items. They say, well, you got all these millions of dollars, what does it matter if we take 50%? I'm worried. I'm worried, I'm optimistic that healthcare reform can help this, but I'm worried that it won't come soon enough. Because even as we talk about wait lists for ADAP, you know, we're sort of looking at our numbers here, and we're realizing, you know what, this isn't 1995. A lot of the people who are coming to us for help, a wait list is actually a discontinue list for medications because they're not new to HIV or not new to HIV treatment. They've lost their supports, and ADAP is the safety net we have to make sure that as they lose some of their supports and resources, they don't lose their opportunities for help. So that's my 5-point diatribe and my fierce determination that we should make some commitments to really making sure that, you know, I need all of your help to help us, you know, make things better for DC. So thank you.